Guys, so I'm doing this quick video of how our home birth with this one went. She will be 2 weeks on Friday. So yeah, let's get started. So Monday I had a chiropractor appointment, and that was my third appointment. And so he got me all adjusted. And Tuesday morning I woke up and she had dropped. She dropped into lightning and all that stuff on Tuesday. So I felt great like that entire week actually. So Wednesday was fine. Wednesday I saw my chiropractor again, and he looked at me and he noticed that she had dropped and I was carrying lower. And so he was like, oh yeah, so we'll just adjust you again. So Wednesday I got adjusted again. And then Thursday I had my 37-week midwife appointment. And all day Thursday I was having on and off contractions. And so actually on the way out to one of my appointment, I was having a contraction in the car and Dan called, and I was breathing through it, and he was like, "You're making me nervous. What are you doing?" So I talked to my midwife at the appointment, and I was telling her Thursday morning actually when I woke up I was losing a lot of mucus and a lot of bloody discharge and stuff, and every time I would lose chunks of it I would have a contraction during it. So once I told the midwife what was going on, she goes, "Oh yeah," she's like, "You're gonna have her this weekend." And then the other midwife was like, "Or you could go to 40 weeks, your body's just doing what it needs to do." And so that was really nice to hear that that my body was doing what it needed to do. And so after my appointment, my mother-in-law actually had Victoria, so she was going to be gone Thursday and Friday. So Dan and I went out to dinner when he got home, and I started having contractions in the restaurant. And I went to the bathroom because I felt a huge glob come out, and it was this huge chunk of bloody mucus again. And I was having a contraction during it, so I couldn't eat anything at the restaurant. I didn't feel like eating. And then we went to Joann's and walked around, and I had a contraction in the store in Joann's, and so after that we went home and we put together a bike, and I started getting contractions, and around they were still on and off. Right around 10 o'clock they hit every 7 minutes, and I mean every 7 minutes on the dot. So I called my midwife around 11, and she's like, "Well, lay down, and if the laying down doesn't work, take a shower." I did that, and when I got up to take a shower, I was getting contractions every 3 minutes, and I couldn't even stand up straight. I couldn't even talk through them. I couldn't breathe. And Dan said, "You need to call the midwife back." So we called her, and she's like, "Well, try to get some sleep, and if you can't sleep through them, call me." So I had contractions in bed right around 11 till 4 o'clock every 7 minutes, and when I got up to pee, they would be every 3 minutes, and I couldn't even walk through them. I couldn't walk, period. I couldn't breathe, and so Dan finally told me to call her at 4 o'clock, and I did, and I walked out into the living room, and I laid down on the couch, and right around 4:30 she got here, and she checked me, and I was 7 centimeters, and she goes, she was there to time 2 contractions, and they were 5 minutes apart, and she goes, "We're having a baby today." And so I was like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that." So Dan ran downstairs and got the birthing tub ready and started filling it up, and I started feeling the urge to push, and this was probably by 5 o'clock, and by 5 a.m. on Friday morning, and because she got there, the midwife got there at 4:30 a.m. on Friday. So Thursday night, I went into labor. And so by 5 o'clock, I was ready to go. I was a full blown 10 centimeters probably, because I only got checked once. So by 5 o'clock, I was feeling a lot of pressure, and my contractions were I'd probably say, like, we stopped timing them after we realized that I was gonna have her. I don't know, but I tried to do some exercises that my midwife showed me to get her to, because I was starting to have a little bit of like back pain. Like, it wasn't like on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably like a 3 for me, but it was something new I'd never felt when I was in labor with Tori. So I had no idea. And so I started doing the exercises, and then I started feeling like I needed to push, like I felt pressure. And so I told the midwife, and she's like, well, lay down, because the tub wasn't ready, the other midwives weren't there. And so I laid down on the couch downstairs, and I felt a good contraction, and I felt the need to push, and I just pushed a little bit, and my water broke. And the midwife looks at Dan, and she's like, are you ready to catch this baby, because she's coming out? So I got up, and I got in the birthing tub, and as soon as I hit the water, like, the tub wasn't even full. Like, it was like, when I laid down, it was like barely touching my belly button when I sat down in it. So, like, the tub wasn't even full. So I got in the tub, and as soon as I hit the water, a contraction happened, and I pushed her head out, and then the midwife checked to make sure the cord wasn't wrapped around her neck, and I had like a 30-second break in between those two contractions, between me pushing her head out and pushing the rest of her body out. So I pushed, and her head came out, and then 30 seconds later I got another good contraction, and I pushed the rest of her out, and Dan handed her to me and put her on my chest, and so that was that. And then I delivered the placenta, and we put the placenta in a bowl, and it was like floating around the birthing pool while it was still attached to Valerie. And so I just kind of like regained a little bit of, my thoughts while I was in the tub for a minute. And Dan and I were just like so in awe, like finally getting to meet her and finally seeing her. And so I got out of the tub, and at this point, the other midwives haven't showed up yet. And she was born at 5:42 a.m. And so I got up, and I went back and laid down on the couch, and to just regain, like, everything that had happened. So, and to also start breastfeeding her. And she latched on the moment I hit the couch, and she nursed for a straight hour, and she did really good, like, breastfeeding. She still is doing really good breastfeeding. And so we did that, and then we waited about an hour, and finally Dan cut the cord, like, and then they took the placenta upstairs to put it in the refrigerator, because I had it encapsulated, so it needed to be cool. I think that's what they did with it, at least I can't remember. And then they took me upstairs, and I went into bed, and we did the weighing, the measuring. They checked my fundus, or whatever, that's my uterus, basically. They weighed her. She was 7'4", 20 inches long, and they, checked all her stuff and checked me, and I got something to eat while I was in bed, and then they got me a herb bath already, which I still have some in the refrigerator. And so I got a bath, and then I just kind of relaxed and like let my body just take a breath. And they had Valerie. Dan actually had her, and then I was ready to have her in the bath with me. So we took a bath in the herbs, and then I got back out, and they wanted me to eat eggs, like to eat protein, because I had lost, like, you just need to regain some strength. So I did that, and so after I ate, they went over the postpartum, like, I had a postpartum sheet, and they went over that, and they talked about the birth certificate, like what to do with that. and then they left. Basically, to make like they left once they were, checked everything off with me and checked everything off with the baby. And then Dan and I, so it was 10 o'clock, and they all left around like 10:30, and so I mean everything went good, and then Dan and I took a nap for like an hour. We were just too excited to take a nap. And that was pretty much about it. That is basically how everything went. I mean, yeah, it was really quick. My labor started really good at 10 p.m. on Thursday, and by 5:42 we had her. So I labored shorter, and I was 37 weeks and 4 days with Valerie, compared to 38 weeks and 1 day with Tori. So my midwife said I probably just grow babies really fast, and so that's like nice though to be able to do that. So that is my birthing story. Like I said, it was really quick and fast, so there's not really much detail to it because she came out so fast. She was ready. So I'm gonna finish feeding this little girl. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and sorry there's like really nothing much to it. I mean, I literally popped her out like super quick. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.